If you haven't watched the previous parts, go watch them right now. The links are pinned in the comments and in the description.
For such concern but said that the matter was urgent. He arrived on order of the emperor, who demanded to deliver Lady Luna to the palace. The legion thought why the emperor needed Luan and even sent a convoy of guards. Tension reigned. Luna feared bloodshed. Albert and his convoy awaited action. Then Legion said that Luna was very tired from doing the affairs of the mansion. Also got a lot of stress because they were being watched. He cannot allow her to be taken away in this condition. He will bring her to her tomorrow to the emperor personally. Then Albert replied that he had received a clear order to deliver immediately. Luna wondered why everything turned out this way. Probably another whim of the emperor. Then she spoke forward asking if she just needs to go with them. She will go. Legion's eyes showed concern and he grabbed the girl's hand. He held her and told her not to do this. He had a bad feeling. Luna calmly held his hand and said that she was grateful for the concern. But they were faced with a problem in the form of the emperor who could do anything if she did not appear. The legion was depressed and confused. If it did not obey the order, it would be perceived as a riot. Seeing his confusion, Luna said that there was no need to make such a face. Then, without expecting, she took his face in her hands and said that nothing could be done and she kissed him on the forehead. With all tenderness and love, this decision would be the best. All the imperial guards looked at this picture with a question mark on their faces. Luna looked into the legion's eyes with all affection and smiled and said that everything would be fine and now he needed to go home. Albert opened the door of his carriage and said that they were returning to the palace. Legion pressed her hand to his face and said what will be waiting for him. Luna looked into his eyes, realizing that she needed to leave when she was already sitting in the carriage.
If you liked this episode, then don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. The next episode of this manhwa will be released once this part reaches 1,000 views or 5 comments requesting the next part.
Towards her start, coming to the realization of what she had just done, but then convincing herself that it was not even a kiss on the lips. If she had not done this, there could have been bloodshed. Then she wondered why the emperor needed her so urgently. He must have been hungry at night, although it was quite possible. Suddenly, she heard a shout from outside asking whoever was sitting to identify themselves. The carriage door was opened by a man with a weapon over his shoulder. It was already dark, so he looked intimidating. Having said that they had found it, he pulled Luna out of the carriage, threw it over his shoulder, and carried her. The girl resisted as best she could. Luna pounded him on the back to get her to let her go. He calmly told the princess not to worry. This is not a kidnapping. Luna was screaming that where was he dragging her? How could this not be a kidnapping? Finally, he put girl to the ground and said that they were returning home. Luna was shocked. Home? What does he mean by her empire? Luna was stunned. She recognized those green eyes. Was it really him? At this time, the legion had already arrived at the emperor to sort everything out and found out that he had not given any order. Unable to restrain himself, he barked how to understand all this people carriage but remembered who was in front of him, bowed and asked for forgiveness for his rudeness. The emperor, smiling madly, said that now everything fell into place. Someone disguised himself as the imperial guard and kidnapped the princesses. Ingrid also recently disappeared. That's what they came up with. And then he ordered the legion to find and suppress the rebellion. Return Princess Ingrid and well, at the same time and yours. The legion replied that it would be done. The emperor was clearly in half-razia condition that did not bode well. Luna opened her eyes, not understanding where she was. Then she heard a familiar voice.
If you liked this episode, then don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. The next episode of this manhwa will be released once this part reaches 1,000 views or 5 comments requesting the next part.
Scolding the man for dragging Luna like that. He replied that she had resisted. Luna rubbed her head, which hurt a lot, and he asked if it was Ingrid. She carefully approached her sister and said that she had finally come to her senses. Luna, pointing her fingers at the stranger, screamed that it was he who had kidnapped her. The man said that he was actually of noble blood and introduced himself as Cain from the Duchy of Ellen. Luna was amazed that the Duchy of Ellen is the second family after the imperial one. Ingrid looked at her sister's reaction and asked if she really didn't know anything because a person was specially sent to warn her. Luna died and did not understand what kind of person we were talking about. Then it dawned on her that this was the same guy who had been following her and the legion young woman. She apologized and said that she ran away from him because she thought she was being followed. Ingrid smiled and said that there was a misunderstanding, but now they are together. Finally reunited, the older sister took Luna by the hand with some triumphs and that there is no turning back. Our heroine sat with a blank face face and tried to say something, but Kane exclaimed that he knew she was against it. He added, with gloating, while Princess Ingrid organizes resistance. Luna makes love and kisses the cruel killer. He called her a traitor, but Ingrid ordered him to shut up. He turned sharply and left. Ingrid carefully suggested that her sister rest. Luna looked at the girl with round eyes and asked a question. Is it true that Ingrid is gathering an army? In the morning, Luna sat on the street with a sour face. She was given a meager breakfast. The rebels were training behind her. She didn't even understand what she was doing here. She thought that the day before yesterday, she had dressed exquisitely, dressed up, and enjoyed the delicious food. Everything was so wonderful. Then she remembered Ingrid's words that families had.
If you liked this episode, then don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. The next episode of this manhwa will be released once this part reaches 1,000 views or 5 comments requesting the next part.
Joined hers, swearing in loyalty to the imperial family. They responded for one purpose, to revive their empire. When Gazri said this, Luna was even scared, and what should she do? Luna began to analyze the plot of the novel in which she herself found herself. The novel is going downhill and she doesn't think so anymore. First, the emperor and empress were immediately executed, which was not the case in the original, and then everything went completely wrong. The legion was not carried away by Ingrid. Of course, small changes can happen, but these are far from trivialities in the novel. She read Last Year Life, in which their empire was reborn and was absorbed without any hindrance. There was no revival and Ingrid should have been in the trap. Abusive relationships are disgusting, of course, and the romance was disgusting from the very beginning. Well, at least there is something positive. Ingrid won't suffer so much. This is definitely better than falling in love with a psychotic emperor who would torture her every day. The only problem is that Luna herself doesn't particularly want to revive her native empire. She remembered him sight as her hands came to rest on his face. Luna thought what a cute little bunny he was, and now he was a poor starving bunny. What the hell is wrong with her? What the hell is a starving bunny? The girl freaked out at herself, but she couldn't stop thinking about Legion, especially what happened between them that day. Yes, it looks like she was completely crazy. She started to eat quickly but spat out the food. It just tastes terrible. How can you even call it food? She looked at the faded soup in which palau, carrots, some mushrooms and herbs, and a piece of bread. Luna stood up and said that she wouldn't eat, that she could tolerate a lot but not inedible food. The guy standing guard looked at her, not understanding what she wanted. Luna started cooking herself. She was surrounded by people from their camp.
If you liked this episode, then don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. The next episode of this manhwa will be released once this part reaches 1,000 views or 5 comments requesting the next part.
And the cane came running. In response to the noise, he asked, "What's going on here?" He was told that the princess decided to cook herself and it turned out incredibly tasty. They also handed him a plate, offering to try such deliciousness, but he threw the plate on the ground. He said contemptuously that she might be a princess, but she was too allied with the enemy of their homeland. He wanted to continue by saying that she might have put something in the food. When Luna shoved a spoon into his mouth, she said in all seriousness that she would never dare to desecrate sacred food. First he should try to eat and then start bubbling. Kane chewed what Luna gave him and couldn't believe he was eating something like that. Yummy. He was supported by others because it was delicious. Everyone ate it and everything was fine with everyone in order. Kane then allowed Luna to use the kitchen, but only under his supervision. In response to his words that he has not yet maybe allow herself to trust her, she calmly replied that she understood. Luna smiled and asked him to fulfill her small request if he liked her cooking. She knocked on the door of Ingrid's room and heard permission to enter. She and Kane brought her food. Ingrid did not expect to see them. Luna suggested they eat together since Ingrid had not yet had dinner. Ingrid agreed but acted strangely. She suggested we stay in the backyard and the shack, she needs to change clothes. The girl looked questioning at the cane. What kind of hut was that in the backyard? Through the door, Ingrid said to escort Luna and wait for her there. When Luna and Kane were leaving, the girl shouted to her older sister to hurry up before it cooled down. Ingrid stood with a sad face, then said that he had heard she needed to go. It was clearly difficult for her to conduct a dialogue, and she turned to Khalid to hurry up. Kali stood behind Ingrid. The young woman made it clear that she did not plan to linger with him. Huge white flower.
If you liked this episode, then don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. The next episode of this manhwa will be released once this part reaches reaches 1,000 views or 5 comments requesting the next part.
Sparkled in the daylight. Luna gasped in admiration when she saw them. She admired the flowers in the backyard where they came. How beautiful it turned out to be here. Luna thought out loud that these flowers were familiar to her. She had already seen them somewhere. A smiling Ingrid came up and said that the climate of the invading empire was not suitable for them, but they could grow perfectly well on the border. Luna exclaimed joyfully when she saw her sister. Although later I was surprised that she came so quickly, literally after them. Ingrid smiling replied that her sister cooks so deliciously that it is impossible to resist. Luna jumped with happiness and invited her to the table. When they sat down at the table and Kane left, Ingrid decided to ask her sister directly, does Luna really want to go back and not follow her to revive their native empire? Ingrid's gaze was direct and piercing through and through. Luna was confused. Ingrid simply asked her head on and how to answer her in such a way as to not offend the truth and not offend her. Our heroine. She replied that she didn't know but felt that she didn't belong here. But Ingrid seriously said that she didn't take her in order to ask for a debt as a member of the imperial family with resentment. She said that she had already understood that Luna wanted nothing to do with their empire. Luna was confused. Ingrid seemed to be reading her mind. The sister continued to say that she wanted to protect Luna since she could get into trouble because of her plans in the rebel army. Luna understood that her older sister's plans were larger and more serious than she thought. Then her sister replied that Lord Kane was partly right, but not because he called Luna a traitor.
Hey, quick fact, 97% of you watching aren't subscribed. If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button. It's free, helps the channel grow, and keeps you in the loop. Thanks for your support.